morning, monkeys. Welcome to another episode of Monkeylandia. Here at Coaster Monkey Studios, thank you so much for joining us today. If you've never been with us before, then welcome for the very first time. And if you have been before, then welcome back. All 7 of you that have been watching this series. What do I do? Well, I am Gabriel Coaster Monkey, and I bring to you Planet Coaster and a bunch of other videos in theme park related news and stuff. If you like what you see here, don't forget to click like and subscribe for more content. That's why I'm here, and I'm going to be bringing some stuff out to you. So what are we doing today? Well, what you're looking at here is the other side of the street. Yes, we are building our quote-unquote Broadway, New York City Broadway inspired Main Street, and we're working on the other side of the street today. Wanted to get a little bit of depth in our project as I was building this out. So I started on the other side of the street, you know, when you have that moment of needing inspiration. Sorry, excuse me as I unzip my hoodie. It's getting a little hot in here. But yeah, so I jumped over to the other side of the street, started building this sucker out. Now, in real life, for those of you that don't know, all of these buildings on the street are based on real life buildings in New York City, SoHo. So what I've done is, this building is actually across the street from the white building we have across the way in our Broadway Main Street. So I thought that was a little cheeky, a little bit of realism from a cheeky perspective. So yeah, I figured this would be pretty fun to roll out for you guys. I can't wait for the next episode. The next episode I love. But yeah, so this here, we are building a 4-story building that's going to house a restaurant. And this is going to be our first in-park restaurant. Now, I've not done the interior yet, still to this date, because I don't know what I want the interior to look like with the chairs and stuff. I may actually do a facade of an interior with a doorway where people walk into an actual restaurant block. And this will be an actual usable restaurant in our park for our guests, so we can have people actually walking in and out, which would be pretty cool. Considering we've got tools, why not use them, right? So yeah, so for those of you that don't know much about me again, we are in episode 6, and if you've not seen any of the previous episodes, let me just throw that up there, bam, right at the top of your screen. Click on that link, you can catch it from episode 1. Monkeylandia, episode 1. We've got a lot of fun stuff going on here. And now, at this point of the game, what you're seeing me play here, I'm only about maybe 4 days into playing. This is my 4th day playing in this video here. Now, mind you, at this point now, I've had it for 3 weeks. I haven't touched it since I've gotten my new computer back. And that's a whole other story. If you want to hear that story, check back to one of our previous episodes, because it's a long one and I don't want to tell it again. But yeah. So, what are we doing here? Well, this building, inspired by the SoHo inspired building, it is a 3 tile wide building. So, I laid out the structures and kind of what I wanted the width to look like and the depths or whatever in roof tiles along the grass. And this is a technique that I've used forever. I used it in Planet RCT for about 20 years now. Yeah, I'm that old. And now I'm using it in my Planet Coaster builds. I like the idea of a floor. I can't help it. You know? And I like the fact that you can sink them down so that they're flush with the ground and guests can actually walk on it. Instead of having to build a path over it. I mean, just, there's a lot. You know? So, as I'm building this sucker out, what I'm doing is using my favorite piece in the game, which is this, metal post. And this metal post is literally used everywhere in the game for me. And what I'm doing is building up the spine work for our, what do you call them? Our columns, that's what they're called. And we're gonna build the sucker up all the way up the front. We're gonna put an awesome billboard on the side there, because that's gonna be our billboard. That will be advertising our Street Fox coffee, which will be right underneath it. And again, when you enter into a theme park, there's always some type of coffee. I was in Hershey Park last week, and literally maybe 50 feet from the main entrance, the main gate, there's a Starbucks. So I found it fitting that Street Fox Coffee would be sitting here. I think it fits the bill very well. So what am I doing here? Well, I'm putting a bunch of columns up. This building is columned from floor to ceiling, which I thought was pretty cool. One thing this building does have in real life, though, are full open floor to ceiling bay windows. And I did not want to do another building with that because I did not want to build interiors, nor did I want to fake out the facade with like pictures and stuff. Because I did enough of that on the other side. We need variety. So what I've done is I've used a ton of these Baroque and concrete cast columns, or concrete columns, and I put in a ton of spooky windows. Spooky windows are totally my thing when building these SoHo inspired buildings. They're all over this build. So if you want to know how to build a building with spooky windows, just watch this video. But yeah, so one thing you'll see in my builds, if you're not watching any of the other videos, you'll see that I tend to put a ton of layers. There's a lot of layers, and you know what? I don't care what anyone says. It's copy and paste. You know, this game is very much so copy and paste, unless you are building something super ornate. I'm building blocked out buildings right now, right? They're square buildings. It's a little bit easier to build these. I'm going to start building I want to build some complicated structures going into the next area when I actually start building again, which is going to be the whole first area, which is going to be our adventure theme. And we're going to do temples and rainforests and all this cool stuff based on Legends of the Hidden Temple. That's the image I have in my head. I don't know why. But yeah, we'll kind of sort out what that's going to look like. We have a couple cool rides there. I've already built not a flying coaster. Oh my goodness, why can't I remember the type of coaster? Whatever Gatekeeper is. Wow, I'm totally having all of my enthusiast friends are going to rip me a new one. Oh, it's not a flying coaster. Oh no, it's gonna kill me. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you guys for a couple minutes as I'm building up this facade, and I'll get back to you in a couple moments. Check in a bit. Now, one of the challenges I was running into here was getting the right angle on these columns. I wanted them to look like they were semi-protruding out of the wall to give a little bit more depth. So I was running into a little bit of an issue there. That was a challenge, but I think I pulled it out in the end. One thing I did notice too, and this is something I learned quite a bit after building this particular structure, was that there were two axes. There's the global axis and there's the axis you're working on. And if I had known that, I probably would have built this park on the global axis because it would have made my life a lot easier. But yeah, I like the way the column work looks now. I think there's definitely some opportunities. You see they're not all in the same angle. So I went going back and I adjust them and push them back a little bit and then give them a little bit more framing up above, which is the piece of that trim work there that I layer in. Oh, and then I found those pieces and I had to put them on immediately because I was super excited. Yeah, I know I'm that guy. I can't help it. That guy happens. See, here I was trying to figure out how to trim it in, give it a nice cap up the top, and then I was like, oh, why don't I just turn one of these sideways? And there we go. Boop, got it. How easy was that, right? Again, a lot of these trim pieces that you see people struggling with to find, they're all there, you know? Even if it's just the end of a piece that you've already used or used before in a different manner, think about the different ways that you can use pieces. Now, I'm not the best at this. I do not claim to be the best at this, but it's something I'm learning, which is pretty fun. And one thing I love about New York City buildings too is you'll notice I left all those raw edges. That's a New York thing. So I'm glad my lack of skill set in fixing raw edges worked out for this particular build. And now here I am throwing in the doorways here. These doors are going to be open. Our guests are going to be able to walk through here. And we're going to have a really cool setup with, I think I'm going to do probably a screen in the back with a whole restaurant set up, which will be pretty cool. And then in the front, a couple tables, give the 3D effect. And then we'll have a doorway off to the right-hand side when they walk in, where they go into the restaurant itself, which I think could be a fun idea. Gives it, again, depth, right? And interest, and draws your eye to it, which is super fun. Look at all the spooky windows. I mean, we use so many of them. Now, as we're putting in this interior, I definitely ran into a couple of speed bumps and trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I think I leave the floor. I don't really remember. I think I leave the floor. I know I put in... Oh, no. Okay. So, randomly, I don't know whose these are, and I really wish... If you see this video and you know who you are, who made this, please call yourself out on it. I don't know how this ended up in my collection, but that worn out wooden floor looks just fantastic, and I used it. This is going to be a rustic steakhouse. That's what we're going to call this. Maybe we'll make it a steakhouse, right? I'll give it a fun name. But yeah, we'll make this a nice sit-down restaurant. I'm going to give it some worn out flooring that look like, you know, from the size of them, because the scale is totally off. But it looks like we cut down some really big trees to make these planks of wood. So don't blame me. Blame the guy with the Theme Maker toolkit. Yeah, so you put up some wood paneling up on the wall and give a nice Baroque trim around the bottom. And that finishes up our interior for now. I'm going to go back and I'm definitely going to do that restaurant type feel. They could just walk into the restaurant. All right, we already got Les Chic. We'll call this one Ribs and Things. I don't know. Oh, and if you like what you see here, don't forget to click like and subscribe for more. Is it sad I got to put that up there to remind me to say that? So many people tell me, you don't say it enough. You don't remind people. Because for me, it's not about the liking and subscribing. It's about facilitating the act of building and sharing it with you guys. But yeah. I'm going to open up those. Look at that. That looks fantastic. I love it. So now, if we do an interior here, we're going to have to do lighting. See, I was trying to do that, but it would only let me do the path one way. And that was just not working for me. I was going to have it be a chief beef or something. I think that's a chief beef. But I wound up changing that anyway because chief beef goes on the other side in a little bit. And you will see that. It looks pretty cool. Modern McDonald's-esque chief beef, which is super fun. Now, to give variety on our street, remember, to give it a little bit of life, definitely want to throw trees in. Trees are a major part of elevating the look and feel of your space, especially your main street. One thing I learned this last week after being in 2 theme parks in 5 days. Over 5 days, not in 5 days, over 5 days. Yes, I went to 2 theme parks, 4 out of 5 days. And I got sunburnt bad because there are no trees. It's just concrete. Hot, sweaty, gross concrete forever. Not fun when you're wearing a mask. Just going to put it out there. But we do what we got to do. We want to enjoy our theme parks. We got to wear our masks. So that's what we did. Yahoo! But yeah, here we are throwing in our rooftop. Now, there's a lot of this trim gets used throughout our New York City inspired buildings. Why? Because this is what all New York City buildings have trimmed at the top. All of these, this decade of buildings, I should say, have these trimmed at the top. And you'll notice that a lot throughout the city, specifically SoHo, the Village, East Village, Tribeca. Oh my God, they're all over Tribeca. But yeah, getting the trim up and wrapping up this building, getting close to the end here. So this is the first building of this side. There's 4 more buildings to come, 2 of which are my all-time favorite in Manhattan, and are standout structures, pieces of architecture that, for me, speak volumes to the culture and the background of Manhattan. But yeah, there we are. That is our building. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Coaster Monkey Studios. Catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those fun little jammies. Thanks so much for watching, guys. And click here to subscribe for more. And catch you later. Thanks.